Moments that shocked me on paternity court.
I actually want a family. I had a family before. That's why it kills me. I left my family for him. I did not have to want for nothing, Your Honor. My daughter, father gave me the world. He takes care of his child. To this day, he still takes care of his child. I wanted the same thing with him. You're not just gonna leave just to be with a messed up man. Like, why?
You really can't go tit for tat with a man in that way because, let me talk. I'm saying something that benefits you.
Yes.
The Rachel and Jackson saga is a wild roller coaster that's got you gripping your seat, and there's some juicy reasons why. Jackson's got major doubts about being Matthias's dad because Rachel was chilling with another dude when she was preggers. But Rachel's got a big theory of her own, thinking Matthias is Jackson's spawn.
I told him that I was pregnant. He basically said that he gave me a Christmas gift because he didn't give me anything for Christmas.
Are you disagreeing that it was Christmas Eve, or you're disagreeing that you're
I'm disagreeing that it was
sex with?
I'm disagreeing on both behalves because she was living with another male, so it's kind of like hard to like judge her.
These two? Well, their history is like a never-ending soap opera. They actually went to school together, and then, guess what? Jackson spilled his heart on some website, and they started a short-lived romance. But the real shocker? They got busy without any protection. Whoa!
What information do you have that would suggest that she was
had
having
another
sex with
male
somebody
living
else?
with her, and it was a time that like I was snooping around the house and I had seen a box because she had said it was taking some stuff to store it. And
That means
in that
me and
box,
my
it was some
ex
condoms
Yep.
in the box.
So when you were in her house, you were snooping around and you saw
Yeah.
some condoms in a box.
But hold on to your hat. Rachel pulled a fast one in court. First, she claimed she never got busy with anyone but Jackson. But when Jackson spilled the tea about her shady moves, she finally coughed up the truth. She hooked up with her ex while Jackson wasn't looking. Sneaky!
But
Yes.
you do admit you had sex with him.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, and I was on vacation one time. Like I was snooping around, and I got a phone, and I seen like was texting numerous people. So I had snooped and went through one of the texts, and I seen like she was texting this guy, and he was like calling her bouncy.
You're
butt,
doing a lot of
and
snooping.
Thanks to Rachel's shady business, poor Jackson turned into a full-on detective. That's why he's all confused about whether Matthias is his kid. And to top it off, the little dude doesn't even look like him. Meanwhile, Rachel keeps defending her questionable actions. Drama alert!
So these are messages to
2011.
countless, lots and lots of women. So from the looks of these messages, it seems like you entertaining these women.
The reason why I did what I did because like she had messages in her phone from her other fella that was talking about working on their relationship.
But guess what? Rachel might actually be onto something. It's Jackson driving her crazy now. She's done with him because he's acting like a bossy diva and not stepping up for Matthias. Rachel even offered to foot the bill for a paternity test, but Jackson's still slacking off. No wonder Rachel's losing it.
He's there. If y'all don't like it, then I don't
he
care.
has
but
not accepted it, and neither has anyone in his family.
No.
Do you feel like any of their doubts are valid? Do you feel like anything you've done, just the relationship, the cheating with your ex, and those kinds of things, do you understand why?
No,
he has
I
some
do not
doubt?
understand.
Rachel even brought in her buddy as a witness, and she spilled the beans on how Jackson never did the dad thing right. He didn't even chip in $5 when the diapers were running low. Seriously, he's a total flop. All Rachel wanted was a family, but it's looking like she's stuck in a mess.
I actually want a family. I had a family before. That's why it kills me. I left my family for him. I did not have to want for nothing, Your Honor. My daughter, father gave me the world. He takes care of his child. To this day, he still takes care of his child. I wanted the same thing with him. You're not just gonna leave just to be with a messed up man. Like, why?
It's pretty clear that these two need to step into the time machine and put their messy past behind them. And if Matthias turns out to be Jackson's flesh and blood, will he step up and be a better dad? Most importantly, can he fix things with Rachel? Let's see what destiny has in store for these two.
Mr. Jackson, you are Matthias's father.
Okay. At least like if I can get a hug, you mind if I get a hug? So I can, no accusation?
That's up to her. That's up to her. He said he'd like to give you a hug. Are you okay with that or not? You can say no.
All right, in this dramatic episode, we are introduced to the plaintiff, Miss Holsinger, who has petitioned the court for a DNA test to establish that the defendant, Mr. May, is the father of her 2-year-old son, Gabriel. She firmly believes that Mr. May has abandoned his responsibilities, and today she aims to uncover the truth.
I met him off the chat line. I was lonely, so I decided to call and try to basically find something to do.
Yeah, she found something to do, and we end up messing around too fast. You know what I mean? Too fast. And
Right, that's what I don't understand about these chat lines, Ron. It's supposed to be chatting.
So next time if you have a passing thought of making a Tinder account, y'all better consider the unwanted consequence Ms. Holsinger has been dealing with. However, Mr. May claims that he was pressured into signing the birth certificate.
I called him and told him that it was a possibility of me having his child.
that wasn't how it went.
Yes, it is.
No, months and months passed by, and then she just told me that she was pregnant.
Were you all still in a sexual relationship all
Yes,
the time?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many months is that?
I think about 4 months.
Does this conversation leave us with a good impact? Not sure, right? But as the story unfolds, it becomes evident that doubts and suspicions were present from the start. Ms. Holsinger shares that she informed Mr. May about the possibility of her being pregnant, but he recalls it differently, mentioning that several months passed before he knew about the pregnancy.
Open up the back door, there's a gentleman right there.
Really?
And he asked me, was I there for Mrs. Holsinger? I told him I wasn't there for Mrs. Holsinger. I was there for one of her family members, and I proceeded to walk on out the door while she hid behind the refrigerator.
Oh, you saw her hiding?
Yeah.
What? If you don't like to meet someone, you just give them a shut-up call, rather than just hiding in your own house, Ms. Holsinger, unless and until you are guilty about something or maybe hiding your affair. Now that's promising. This just gives us off the idea that you have been involved with other men during the same period.
I'm not too heavy of a sleeper, so at the time, I'm spending the night with her. I'm seeing messages pop up on the phone. That led me to doubt too. Not only the backdoor situation, but just text messages, you know what I mean? Things I would hear on the streets and things of that nature.
So you were also hearing rumors. I need you
Yes.
to be specific.
But you know what was the real head-scratcher? The court is faced with a web of uncertainty, as it's disclosed that Ms. Holsinger had another man tested, adding to the confusion of who the real father could be. Despite her claims, Mr. May's doubts persist. I mean, anyone could have fallen for that.
I wasn't in a relationship with him. You know, I was doing my own thing too, as well as him, you know, because he was out there doing what he wanted to do too.
With me doing what I'm doing has nothing to do with her affecting her having.
Well, that part I'll give you. You really can't go tit for tat with a man.
And that's
in
what
that
the-
way,
and-
because let me talk.
sorry.
I'm saying something that benefits you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right, folks. These men must be sleeping all around the town without responsibility. And ultimately, it comes down to women like you, Ms. Holsinger, who doesn't know who their baby daddy is. So without getting everything more delayed, how about we just go to that part and bring you all some closure?
Mr. May, you are the father. Good news.
Yes, ma'am. He has a great father.
Listen,
I can't tell.
it's amazing when I think about you all saying you just were feeling lonely and didn't know what to do with yourself, so you just called a chat line.
Putting a twist on the regular features here at Paternity Court, we have Mr. Clark here. Now, he claimed he was absolutely positive he fathered baby LaCarney. The only one standing in his way was the baby mama. Cue the paternity crisis, folks.
Mr. Clark, why are these results so important to you?
Because it's a little child's life at stake, and my life is at stake too. And she's everything to me. She's my princess, and I really care about her.
And so you are convinced that you are, in fact, the father. But you say, Ms. Bolden, that's not the case.
No, ma'am.
Apparently, these guys had an argument over bills and things heated up. Mr. Clark stormed out of the house, and Mommy thought if he can do it, so can I. But instead of cooling down, he went right ahead and called up Mr. Moore. Yep, and the trouble began.
I had sex with Mr. Moore. That's the night I think I conceived.
And so you were dating Mr. Clark.
Right.
Got in an argument, you stormed out, then you cheated with Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Clark, while all of this was going on, you believed you were the father all along?
Yes, Your Honor.
So the baby daddy thought he was the real deal, and Miss Bolden let him continue believing that. Furthermore, not only her, but the other guy also believed he was the baby daddy. However, after a year, the defendant had to take this skeleton out of the closet. About time, woman.
So, Mr. Clark, did you know there was another man that she was talking about a DNA test with?
Yes, Your Honor.
You did?
Yes, Your Honor.
So at what point did you find this out?
During the relationship, I knew she cheated on me and did all of this, but like I said, I had no doubt that she was my daughter. I always felt like that. No doubt in my mind whatsoever.
Oh, baby mama wasn't gonna win any brownie points with that attitude. She was a sneaky woman, and on top of that, she apparently had a habit of changing her number quite frequently. And this was the reason for it.
Why is it he doesn't have any way to contact you?
Because I'm always changing my number. Like, I change my number like 3 times out of a month.
You do?
Yes.
Why?
Because certain people have my number and I don't want them having my number, so I just change my number.
But if this man could be your child's father, how can they keep up with their child?
Finally, Mr. Moore stepped up and stated his case. Now, he believed he was the father. And guess what? The only hurdle in his way of spending some quality time with the baby was Miss Bolden. Furthermore, the sister of Mr. Moore gave her 2 cents over all this fiasco as well.
So you see a strong resemblance?
Yes.
Think she looks like you?
Yes.
So now, do you want to be her father? You want to be there for her?
Yes.
How involved have you been in her life?
Not that much.
So if you want her to be your child and you think she's your child, why are you not involved in her life?
Cause she don't bring her around. It's hard to keep up with her.
Well, baby mama was surely playing both the baby daddies. She let the Moores involve in her life, and yet had the all to not deliver Mr. Clark's Christmas gifts to the baby. Take a guess as to what she ended up doing with the gifts. And hold on, she also had the nerve to put up a picture on Facebook to hurt the poor guy. Yeesh!
I'm self-employed. I cut hair. I do tattoos from time to time. I took my hard working money and bought liqueur and the 2 gifts, you know, and I dropped them out to her house. She wasn't there this Christmas. I didn't get to see her. I got word that she had to open up her gifts on the porch because they were for me.
As the tension reached its peak, the courtroom was all set and ready to deliver the verdict. 2 parties were seriously involved in this, and yet one of them was bound to get devastated by the outcome of the results. Here goes nothing.
Mr. Clark. You do. You're very happy. That's good. Miss Bolden,
Yes.
how do you feel?
I mean, I feel the same. It's no difference. And neither one of them in her life.
Mr. Brock brought her very pregnant girlfriend to court because he had serious doubts about not just one, but all kids they shared, including the unborn one. And not just a paternity test, but a lie detector test was the order of the day. Yep, strap in for a chaotic ride as we delve into an 11-year-long relationship filled with reservations, betrayals, and a whole lot of family drama.
After an 11-year relationship, do you believe the defendant has been lying and the kids may not be yours?
We've been dealing with each other for like 11 years or whatever, but the foundation of our relationship wasn't based on husband, wifey, you know, this was somebody who I was messing with during the time I was basically ending a relationship.
So, long story short, this 11-year-long relationship wasn't a fairy tale romance, but rather a messy entanglement. Not a model couple for sure. Their foundation was about as stable as a house of cards during a windstorm, and mommy was disgusted by the daddy's behavior. Uh-oh!
Technical difficulties, I ended up getting incarcerated. Well, during that time,
From technical difficulties?
technical difficulties.
That's a new crime.
Right.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
Okay.
But before I was incarcerated, she told me that she was a certain amount of months pregnant or whatever weeks or whatever.
Okay.
Now, let's add some heartbreak to the mix, shall we? Got to make it juicy, right? Which Mr. Brock did when he had fun times with baby mama's relatives. Oh boy, messy, and messy! Well, they both weren't saints now, were they? But the baby daddy was in the jerk league of his own.
You refused a DNA test?
No, when my daughter was born, I needed to get assistance for her medical. So I went to, apply for that. And when I did, they asked me who the father was. To my knowledge at that time, he's the father. I named him and they went after him for child support. So when they did that, he questioned paternity and—
Moving on from that debacle, Miss Almanza pulled up a picture from her baby shower and ta-da! Baby Dada was there and all smiles too. If he had so many doubts, what the heck was he doing there? And check out his response. The audacity.
He was involved in my baby shower. He was there. So if he doesn't feel that he's the father, why was he there?
So, Mr. Brock, you attended the baby shower?
I mean, she invited my brother, so it's like it put me in a position to where, like, what would it look like your brother show up? I already know the little shenanigans that was put to set up for me, but your brother show up, but you don't show up.
So both of these guys had lie detector tests ordered for each other. Ah, the love they shared. Baby mama couldn't take the test because of her pregnancy, but the daddy sure could. But before we get to the juicy bits of that, the results of the DNA test were in. And here we go.
You are the father. Mr. Brock, now that it has been established that you are these children's father, I want to hear less quotes and phrases and sayings, and I want to see more action from you.
Well, looky here. Who's the fool now, huh? Mr. Brock was the baby daddy. Not sure if he was a happy news or a sad one, but it was now the truth. Moving on to the lie detector test now. Let's see if he passes that with flying colors.
The lie detector administrator asked if you have had any sexual contact with this person since then. Mr. Brock, you said no. The lie detector determined that was a lie.